Hello everybody, Ray Garner with Garner's Games. I'm here to do let's say kind of a surface level review of Codex Adeptus Astartes. Now, the reason why I say a surface level review is I sometimes think people get too much into the tactical when they're doing a review instead of the general feel of a casual player in Warhammer. Most everybody will enjoy a good, like, this is the best unit, that's the best unit. You combine this and that, you'll get this effect. But the fact of the matter is that with the current format of Warhammer 40K, every 3 to 6 months, we're getting new points, we're getting rules updates, erratas, new codexes will be coming out more regularly. So the biggest and baddest and best of this month was not the biggest and baddest of 3 months ago, much less 6 months ago, and won't be 6 months from now. And if you're like me, I always play fully painted on my forces. I learned to play a long time ago when everything had to be WYSIWYG. You couldn't run special characters, and everything in the group that I played in was required to be painted within a handful of weeks of you purchasing it. Otherwise, you weren't allowed to play it anymore in that group. A little more hardcore. I know a lot of people will still field the Spruhan armies, and that's fine for them. But me personally, I can't bring myself to do that. That being said, I always tell people, when you're building your army, pick the unit you like, the one that you feel is going to be enjoyable, especially to paint and to look at and evaluate, because honestly, most people who fully paint their armies will spend more time painting their armies than they will playing their armies. And even if you commission someone to play it, the odds are you'll spend more money on paying it for your army. That being said, this book, as everything Games Workshop does, just beautifully painted miniatures, great scene shots of the miniatures, lots of good lore. When we get into your combat patrol, now your new combat patrol has got quite a little variety of forces in it. And I have not played a lot of combat patrol. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. But, you have your leader, you have your Castricans, and you have your Rough Riders as your force. Now, it's a very different combination, but it looks like it should be pretty solid. And I do like the Rough Riders, so that should be pretty interesting. But we're going to run out to the main army rules, because we're mainly going to be focusing on 40K here. There's also the Crusade rules in here too. But the new big army rule, of course, is the new version of Voice of Command. Now, Voice of Command is your orders. The officers can issue orders within 6 inches. Officers who may issue orders in the command phase and at the end of a phase where they have disembarked from a transport or a setup on the battlefield. So it does give you the option, if you're driving around in a Torok or Torok Prime, that they can hop out and immediately start issuing orders. If you're deep striking them or bring them in from reserves, they can issue orders. The 6-inch limit does bother me a little bit, but most squads have ways to improve that. But your 6 orders are as follows: move, 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 which that adds 3 inches to the movement characteristics of the unit that receives the orders. And as a reminder, the orders last until your next command phase. Next one is fixed bayonets, which that includes weapon skill by 1. Take aim improves ballistic skills by 1. First rank fire, second rank fire. That does the classic. Makes the improves the attack rapid fire weapons equipped with these models by 1. So it goes from rapid fire. Most everything can be last guns. Rapid fire 1. It's going to go rapid fire 2. Take cover. It's going to improve the save by 1. Trust me, guards need save improvements constantly. And in duty and honor, which that improves leadership by 1 and objective control by 1. So that's actually huge when you're trying to take objectives. Now we get into your detachments, and I'm not going to go into full detail on each of your detachments, but combined arms, that's the idea of various regiments working together, Ogrins and tanks, along with your sentinels, kind of everybody and everything coming together. Each model that's in a regiment unit in your army, range attacks that target a visible monster or a vehicle gains lethal hits. Each time a squadron unit in your army does the same, it gains the same. This one also has the reinforcement stratagem as one of its key stratagems. Now this one, with the Kriegs being the core main set of this, I think will be a major focal point. This is your siege regiment. That gives you different barrage rules. You got the creeping barrage, the incendiary barrage, and the smoke shells. Maximum number of units, battle size, which is incursions 2, strike forces 3, and onslaught is 4. Now, this is not going to be a detachment I run because I'm not going to go super heavy into the artillery, but for those of you who love your basilisks and your ordnance batteries and, of course, the new artillery build, this will be the regiment for you. That's what you're going to want to do. Mechanized Assault. This is your old Mech Guard from 5th edition. Now, what this does is when each time a Astra Militarum model in your army makes a ranged attack, the turn in which they disembark from a transport, add 1 to the wound rolls. So, even your last guns, which normally are going to wound on a 4 or 5, are going to now go to wounding, if you hop out of a transport, on a 3 or a 4. So that's going to be a big change. And most of their stratagems are referencing things to do with the transports and or things getting in or out of transports. So that's if you run Mechanized Guard, that is your detachment. All right. Next one, this is very, very straightforward. Hammer of the Emperor. This is basically your all mechanized force. You're not bothering with troops in transports. You're bringing tanks. You have a tank commander. You may be bringing some sentinels, but that's the only thing on foot is your sentinels. Everything else is on track. Their deal is each time a squadron unit from your army advances, do not make a roll for it. Instead, at the end of the phase, add 6 to the movement characteristics of the model and make an advanced move. That unit can move within engagement range of an enemy, but cannot end its move within engagement range of an enemy model. Stratagems are all pretty straightforward. And then there's the recon element. Now, this makes me hopeful that we're going to get re-sculpted catechins, but not 100% sure. Walkers and regiments models in this unit gain benefit of cover. If such models have benefit of cover for any reason, i.e. wholly within rubble, improve the save characteristics of those models by 1 to a maximum of 3. So you're better at using cover than the average bear. You know, and it's a pretty straightforward. You're going to run a lot of scout units, but that's your attachments for this army. And I do want to show you this picture. This guy, I like this. Here's your tank parking lot. Really nice. Lots of Lehman Russes. There's a Chimera in there. There's some super heavies, Basilisks, and Manticores at the back. Now we're going to get into the data sheets. Now I'm not going to go in detail on every one of the data sheets. There's not a lot of changes from what the original index was. On most of these models. There's a few exceptions to that. But just a couple of key things. Your Acadian Castellan, which I'm using the Black Library character as mine. They're an officer to get to do 2 orders per turn. That's pretty big. And if they're leading, they give sustained hits 1 ability to the unit that they're leading. And let's see, get back into the fight. When this model is leading a unit that is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back, so you can fall back and you can shoot. It's a tactic I used to use a lot with my Ultramarines back in the day. Now, a big advantage here on the next group is your Acadian Command Squad. Their order range, because they have a Voxcaster, is 24 inches, which compared to the normal order range of 6 is a big deal. So my plans for my army, because I'm running a Acadian deal, so I'll have my command squad in the back, and they will be issuing a bubble of orders as needed to all my shock troops. You have the new Lord Marshal character. And that is a great looking model if you haven't already seen it on the horse. Of course, the Cadget Command Squad, Sly Marble still exists. You got your tank commanders, Lena Russ and Oldorn, and you got all your other characters. God's Ghosts are in here. Your Commissars. A little note on the Commissars. They are allowed to issue 1 order, and they can only issue Duty and Honor and Fixed Bayonets. It's the only 2 orders they can use. Which is fine, because I'm going to send them along with my Scions. Everything else is pretty much what you're used to. The Tempestus Lorians are in here, so you got your drop troops already in here. One of the things I was hoping for, which is in here, is that the new Kill Team Ratlings are available to be fielded. You have weapon squads are in here. 3 different types now. Ordnance batteries still exist. Now, ordnance batteries, of course, are the little more updated version that has been eroded since the original index. But they're still really good. I know personally, I know a lot of the tournament players don't run this one, but I'm running the, how is this pronounced again? The Malice rocket launchers. The reason why is I have other things to kill tanks. I have 6 armored sentinels with las cannons to take care of tanks, plus tanks themselves, and I'm probably going to be adding a heavy weapons team to finish off the army with the new points. So my ordnance battery is designed to remove the large number of infantry units, termagants, orcs, things of that nature. So this rather unpopular weapon with the tournament players is hugely popular with me because it lays waste to infantry blocks. It's got a 48-inch range. It's D6 plus 6 shots with blast and heavy. It's strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. So if you're shooting a horde unit of 20 orcs, termagants, things of that nature. Doubled up guardsmen if you're fighting a traitor guard army. With the blast bonus, shooting a 20-man unit to start off with, you get the +4 for the blast, +6 twice for each gun, and then you get the 2d6. So that means it is 2d6 plus 16 shots into something. On average, of course, your average dice roll on 2d6 is 7. That puts you at 23 shots hitting on 4s. That's nuts. That may not kill, and at strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage, you're probably looking at decimating everything that you're shooting at. Because, I mean, like I said, on average, you're going to hit 12 times, and realistically, barring bad rolls, you should kill 10 models. That's not terrible. Not from a single unit firing. Now, one little thing I would like to note, the Rough Riders and the Death Riders have a various different stat bills, which makes them kind of cool. The Rough Riders have a 12-inch moves, where the Death Riders have a 10. Now, the toughness is the same, the saves the same, the wounds are the same, leadership and OC are all the same after that. 2 inches extra move can help. Where you're going to run into some differences, the horses themselves. The steeds' hooves extra attacks is 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage on the Rough Riders. On the steeds' savage claws, extra attacks, it's 2 attacks, 4 plus hit, strength 4, AP 1, damage 1. So that 1 AP is going to help out a lot. For charging, we have the Frag Lance. On the Death Riders, it's D6 attacks, strength 3 AP, or it's D6 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 4 AP, nothing, 1 damage. Where the how's that pronounced? Gold Lance on the Rough Riders, that's 2 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. So the Rough Riders are a lot better at killing more elite guys, you know, whereas the Death Riders are going to be much better at taking out weaker horde units. You know. Oh, and here's the Ratlings I was talking about from the new Kill Team box. I love the fact that they have a tank stomper rifle option, which is a strength 9, AP 3, D6 damage. So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize they haven't gotten that set yet. My first complaint about this box: the Armored Sentinels. Their units are 1 to 2 now instead of 1 to 3. The reason why that is a problem to me is because I had old Armored Sentinels, and I had, you know, the new Armored Sentinels from the Cadia Stand box. So I rushed out and tracked down and made sure that I got 3 old Sentinels and 3 new Sentinels. Made, you know, 2 squadrons of 3, 6 total Armored Sentinels. Now, because of the new rules, I have to have a mixed squadron, and that pesters me, just because I like my squadrons to be the same. Don't mind my having different squadrons. I like my squadrons to be the same. Scout Sentinels, of course, got the same rule. The Torx Prime are pretty much identical to what they used to be. Now, some people say that you should run the Torx instead of the Chimera. One of the things that I like about the Chimera is that it is a command vehicle. Your command vehicle officers embarked within this transport can issue orders even though they are not on the battlefield. Doing so measure the distance from the transport. That to me is really crucial as to why, you know, a Chimera is a good command vehicle where the Taurus is a good troop transport because you need to be able to issue orders. I do like the fact that nowadays when you disembark, you can issue the orders, even though you're outside the command phase. But I don't necessarily want to have my commander have to step out and get shot in the head just to be able to issue orders. So I like that a little bit better. Of course, your Lehman Russes are here. I was so hoping that the Lehman Russes were going to go back to being squadroned. They, of course, are not. Neither the Basilisk or the Hydra, and of course the Roll of Thorn is not. I'm not surprised there. To be fair, pretty much none of the larger vehicles. Yeah, none of them are squadroned. Of course, you got all your Bane Blade options. I didn't actually check to see if any of these had any major alterations. I don't see anything as I'm just kind of glancing through here real quick. The Valkyrie is, still here. I do wish the Vendetta would become available as an option on the Valkyrie. It used to exist, and it's now gone away, but I wish it would come back a little more anti-tank oriented. The Aegis defense line. And of course, you get into your Crusade rules. I would like to play a little bit more Crusades. I've only done a little bit of that. And my last and foremost complaint: why do we waste the ink still putting points in these books? I haven't looked yet just because it frustrates me, but odds are this page is already out of date. In AOS, Age of Sigmar, in the battle tomes, we have stopped printing the points because it's pointless to do that. It is just as pointless to put them in the Codex. Since we're going to update the points, everybody wants their opponents to use the updated points. Nobody plays straight out of the book anymore. So it is a waste of ink to put that in this book. That is my one true big complaint about this book. It's just a waste of time to put points in any codex nowadays. Follow the example of your other game, Age of Sigmar, and just quit it. Anyway, the best thing news-wise for Guard players is unless you are like me and you're running infantry squads. But if you don't have to change anything. If you were building stuff out of the index, not using infantry squads, for the most part, you're good. The only other major deal is the squadron size of the walkers, the sentinels going down to 2 instead of 3. So if you did run 9 armored sentinels or 9 scout sentinels to help with your artillery barraging, now you have extra sentinels that you can't use because you still have the rule of 3. Well, I think, let me just double check that, because I'm pretty sure sentinels are not battle line. But instead of making an assumption, I did not look at that, so I will now flip to the sentinels real quick and confirm that. Assuming I can find them real fast. Should be right here on this page. There they are. They are squadron, but they, of course, are not battle line. I didn't think they would be. But worth checking. Oh, and I should point out that the recon data on the Scout Sentinels is at the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches visible to this unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Astra Militarum model makes an attack targeting this unit, reroll hits of 1. So that's a big deal. So it's still able to help your artillery barrages, but not being specific to your artillery barrages, because it can help, a heavy las cannon ordnance battery trying to blast a tank off the board. Okay, so in conclusion, the Guard is still one of the most classic, fun armies to run. You can build your tanks, you can run your infantry, you can have Ogryns run around, you can have Ratlins running around, you can have the cool Scions or the Kasrkins as elite troops running around. You have the Commissars who will still blast somebody in the head for not doing what they're supposed to do. It's still a very thematic army. It still has a lot of the great flavor that has always existed in the Imperial Guard. And I just love running the Guard. It's my second largest army, second only to my Ultramarines. I have a lot to check and see on my existing army because I have Talarians and I have the Praetorians from the ancient days of metal. So I need to see what I can and can't field now. And I'll have to declare those probably, Cadian shock troops or something of that nature to elaborate. But although I have two different ones, I may declare one form, one the other, just to like maybe Catechins on the Talarians and Cadians on the Praetorians. So it's, but it's still, everything is usable. And that's probably the greatest thing about the Guard is that you can whip out stuff from second edition and you may have to modify it some, but if you have enough models, your stuff is still fieldable. You can have heavy weapons. You can have things go. It's a great army. The only thing I've ever lost the use of technically is my old metal Sentinels from back in the day that had assault cannons on them. Because Guard lost the ability to have assault cannons at some point. Anyway, this book is great, in my opinion. There's a lot of good lore. There is some good competitive stuff in there if you want to be competitive, but this was not the focus of my video. The new Kriegs, especially the Death Riders, just are amazing looking. Even though I'd always say I was not going to run Krieg just because everybody else is all in air with Krieg. The horses and the new artillery make me want to run Krieg, even though I'm on the verge of having my Acadian army, my third Guard army, completed and fully painted. I don't really think I need a fourth, but needs not an appropriate word. It's more of a want. So anyway, enjoy the Guard, whether you're facing them or you're running them. They're a great army. And always remember, the Emperor protects. See you next time.